Hey y'all, it's Nerdydollgirl here. I've done this video 4 times already, and I'm hoping this is the last attempt that I have to make of this video. I don't know, I have just a whole bunch of insecurities and panic about doing this video because I want to make sure that I do it right, and then it makes me like super neurotic. So anyways, this video was requested from one of my lovely subscribers. She wanted to know the differences between resin and vinyl dolls. So I'm going to give you guys kind of my opinion and my pros and cons to vinyl versus resin, and kind of what I find the differences are. So for my models, I have, she did have a wig on, but it keeps falling off, so I'm just going to leave it off for now. My Fairyland Minifee Luca in tan skin. And for my vinyl, I have my Smart Doll Santa that I call Evie, and my Dolphy Dream 07 that I call Harley, and she has a one-of-a-kind face-up from my favorite face-up artist, Maya. So yeah, let's get into it. So the difference between vinyl versus resin. For resin, I've had every kind of size of resin, and for vinyl I've had the SD size and an MSD size. So there might be differences in smaller sizes of vinyl, but for me these are the sizes that I know. So first of all, with vinyl, the thing that I have found is they tend to be lighter and more sturdy. So I'm a klutz. I have honestly dropped my dolls and nearly have had heart attacks from it. I have only, knock on wood, broken 2 hands, and both of them were on a toner BJD, fashion BJD, so very, very small. And so I have learned my lesson to be super careful with them. But I have dropped my Fairyland Minifees before, and they've been okay, but I don't recommend it. But the thing that I love about the vinyl is that you can drop them and they tend to be pretty sturdy. The other thing that I found, I've had Magoo from Volks SD, and I've had an SD Lutz Lish. I had those about 12 years ago or so, 10 or 12 years ago. So the differences of what their bodies are like and everything might be different now. The only SD size resin that I've had since then has been my Resin Soul Me. And so her body was very different and very unique. And the big reason that I bought her was because she was very skinny and elongated. So for me, it seemed like she would weigh a little bit less and be a little bit easier for me. She still was awkward, and that's why I sold her. She just was not the doll that I was after. So for me, I tend to prefer vinyl for the larger dolls, but everybody is different, and you know, I say that now, maybe someday I might find one that I fall in love with and I have to have in the larger size. But what I love about the vinyl dolls is they tend to be super lightweight in comparison. So when I'm going out places, I'm able to take them with me with a lot more confidence and a lot less work because they're so lightweight and so stable. With vinyl dolls, they tend to have skeletor systems that make up their body. So if you look, especially on, if you look on Smart Doll websites, I'm not going to take my Smart Doll apart because I don't want to. And I don't know if I could get her back without too much effort. But Smart Dolls have the Skeletor system, so their body literally looks like a skeleton on the inside. It's got the beautiful body, all the bones of the doll in there. Now the Dolphy Dream is different. They have kind of like a bit of a Skeletor system, but it doesn't seem to be the exact same as, it's more of like stick into holes system, whereas BJDs are strung together with elastic. Sorry, I'm just gonna put her torso back on if I can. It's funny, when she arrived, I was kind of freaked out because she arrived in pieces. And she was the first vinyl doll I had ever had. And I was like, okay, why is she in pieces? Is she broken? But no, everything pops together. So with a resin doll, as you can see, they have the elastic. So the pros and cons to that is, with elastic, it really depends on how well the company strings them, because sometimes I have gotten resin dolls that have arrived and they're perfectly strung. Like this girl, she is perfectly strung. She's not too loose, and she's not super tightly strung, so she's just kicky. A lot of times if you receive a doll that is kicky, it tends to mean that your doll is too tightly strung. And then on the opposite, if it's too loosely strung, he will literally flop all over the place. Whereas with a vinyl doll, you don't have to worry about the stringing because, as I said, it's all like plug-in or the Skeletor system. So if the string breaks, you have to replace it. Whereas with the vinyl dolls, you don't have to worry about that. But with the vinyl dolls, if the Skeletor system or any of the little pegs break, then you need to replace them. So both of them have replacement concerns. Now, I've had her for 2 or 3 years, I think, maybe a little bit longer, and I've never had a problem. With my Santa, her and Ashia's joints are they're kind of weird, like you see. They're not quite the same, and they tend to pull out a lot. And I actually had this arm completely pull out, and the two pieces that held it together broke apart. And for a doll this expensive, I was freaking out, and I'm like, great, she broke. But I was actually able to get my husband to squeeze the parts back together, and she was fine. But it was a little scary. And I have seen that people have had this little part break. I don't want it to break on mine, so I'm going to shove it back in there. So again, there is the possibility of breakage, and You do have to be careful with the vinyl if they get too cold about cracking and stuff like that. But I know that they're very careful. They know all about this kind of stuff, the companies. That was one of the reasons that I got out of the vinyl fashion dolls, was because quite often there would be cracking on the shoulders. But I think that was like the plastic more than the vinyl. I think there's a difference. Okay, now I sound dumb. But I'm pretty certain there's a difference. But just like anything else, you don't want to leave anything like that in the cold. The bonuses that I find with resin dolls is that they tend to be more realistic looking. Now, there are all kinds of resin dolls. There are anime versions. There are ones that look far out there. There's just a lot more options for for resin than there is for vinyl. There tends to be more like different types at this point with vinyl. It tends to be the anime cutesy style, whereas resin, there's a lot more options for very unique, very realistic, just all sorts of options out there. And they tend to be able to kind of be more like real little people that you're able to portray in pictures and stuff. I do need to link you guys to some of my pictures. I have to do some more pictures for you guys of my toner BJGs. That's one of the reasons that I wanted them so much, was because photographing them, quite often it was like having little models, and they're just very realistic, whereas the vinyl tends to be more of the anime style design. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, I love that kind of design and that kind of style, but it's just something to think about, that at this point there's not as many, or if any, if there is, please let me know, more realistic vinyl looking dolls. With vinyl, they do stain, especially the lighter skin tones. So you have to be extra careful with them when you're putting on dark clothing. Now you have that issue also with resin, but I know that there's a lot more options for kind of getting the stains out. I have not had that issue really, except for, unfortunately, I noticed not too long ago, as you might be able to see, this light is not helpful. Poor Harley got like these two little marks on her eye from my jewelry making. I tend to use her as a model, and my hands were a little bit dirty with some of the jewelry stuff, so she did get a little bit of staining, and I cannot clean that because I don't want the face up to come off, but it just hides under the wig, and she's still beautiful. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. With vinyl dolls, you tend to be able to have to buy the anime style kind of eyes and stuff, because again, they tend to be the anime style looks to them. And I personally have not found that I like the non-anime style eyes on vinyl dolls, although Ashia does look pretty good with his wolf eyes that are not the anime style. What else can I say about you girls? Poseability. Poseability on vinyl dolls versus resin dolls. Again, it depends on the company. what kind of posability is available. With resin dolls, they have come out with a lot of different options, and different companies are coming out constantly with technology on how to make resin dolls be more posable. But I find like the smart dolls are really posable. I love that they can touch their faces, they can do all sorts of poses, but there are a lot of vinyl dolls out there now that have really high quality posing. I did think of one vinyl doll that is more realistic looking that I can't believe I forgot. I think it's Vindal. He's like muscular, and he's a very, he just came out, but I know that he is more realistic looking. I don't have one, so I can't really talk much about him, but I know that from watching videos and stuff, he's a bit squeaky. I've never found that my vinyl dolls are that squeaky, but they can be squeaky. So that's another thing about vinyl dolls, is they can be a little bit squeaky. Whereas the resin dolls, you don't have that. But they do sometimes have a little bit of issue with stiffness and stuff. But yeah, I think that's about all. With vinyl dolls, you are able to do things like pierce their ears and kind of add that kind of detail a lot easier than you can with the vinyl, with the resin dolls. And they're a lot less dangerous to mod because they're not made out of resin, and resin has a lot of toxins in them. So if you want to mod them, you have to be super careful. Whereas if I felt like it, I could just pierce her ears, no problem, with like a little pin. Whereas with a resin doll, you will have to use a pin vise, I think. So yeah, I think that's it. I'm sorry if this video is kind of erratic and all over the place, and if I missed any important thoughts, please comment down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will be back with more videos. If you have a video request that you would like to see, please let me know, and I'd be happy to help. I am always happy to answer questions and do videos for you guys. I can't promise they'll be the best videos. Like, I don't know if this video was very good or not, but hopefully it's helpful to somebody. And yeah, thank you guys all for thank you all for your support. I love you guys so much. Please check out my 500 subscriber giveaway that I put on today, as well as I have a thank you and plug video for Patreon. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Love you guys. Bye.